Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I will be doing a setup guide for the newest map, Abyss. For A site, at the start of the round, you can try and throw a trip here, but make sure you have someone baiting some shots out at the beginning so the enemy team won't hear or see the trip get placed. Next is this basic one way. The enemy team has to break, or they can slowly break it there, but if they're rushing hard, they won't have time to break it. Next is this trip right here. This trip is for when the enemy team is flooding on a site looking for either tower or CT. They'll run straight into this trip. Another one that works is this one right here. This is the same concept when they're running onto the bridge. Next, you have this trip right here. Really anything along this wall right here works out great. If the enemy team doesn't have like a wingman or a raise bot, those won't get triggered. Next is this trip right here. This is my favorite to play. This one is for when the jet dashes out on the site. She usually jumps right here, and this trip will hit her. Another one, you can place it off this little canister right here. I place it right there, so it's behind this little wall. Those enemy team floods, they'll get triggered by it. Can be placed on any part of this these canisters. Next, you could also place a horizontal one right there that goes onto the rope. So if they're coming here and they want to go on the rope, they'll get triggered by the trip right there. Next, you could also throw this trip right here. This one's a good one too, after the start of the round. Now, if you want to play more backside, you could always play this trip right here. If the enemy team has like a gecko ult or a raise ult, you can always play backside more to play further off. Now as for cams, I'll let you throw this cam right here to see early info, or you could just place it on the other side of the wall right here to keep it a little safer. And you could always ping where the planter is and spam the planter. Next is a run and jump onto this beam right there. You just run, wait for it to turn blue, and just throw it. That works right there. Next, you could always hop on top of here and throw your cam right there. This gives you a lot of info on site. You could also come over here and throw it. This gives you info on backside. You can also probably see over smokes in main, or you could just throw it here. This will give you a lot of info on main. Alright, let's head mid now. As for the vents, you could always rip it off if you hear the enemy team break the one in the mid right here. Next, you could always place this trip right here if they like to flood mid. You could try and place it up here, which means they would trigger it if they jump onto across the void. And then you have this trip right here, next to this part of the wall right there for mid as well. And at the start of the round, you could always throw your cam here to watch mid. You don't have to worry about that door right there because you'll hear the enemy team break the door. Next, you could always throw a trip right there at the start of the round. That would also work. Let's head over to B. Alright, as for B, there's many trips you could try. You could try this one right here. This one, anything along the wall right here. Place it off this canister right there. This right there. Right here. Right there works too. You can also place one right here as they jump off. This is a good one to place because they'll trigger it as soon as they jump onto it. You can always place these trips right here. You play backside. Now as for where you play off of them, I usually play from this box right here when I'm playing off the trip right there, and I place this one right there. I play here, and if I'm playing like that trip right there or that trip right there, I usually play here, but be careful because the gecko molly raise nades, they always come right here. But be sure to throw a cage here at the start so you could always reposition if they do that. Now as for cams, at the start of the round, you could always throw this one right here. This is a good one for the start of the round. And throw one right here. And throw one right here after the round has started. Be careful because that's kind of a dangerous one because your main will be open, so not try and have a teammate watching it. Next, you could always throw one down here. This will give you some good info. One time I played here and then I just creeped up, sat in this little cubby, and then just sat into my cam and watched. Now as for cages, mainly just try and cage off like the base of your trip so the enemy team has a harder time of trying to find them. I also like to place a cage up here if I'm using like a Vandal or Phantom to shoot the trips. But if you're using an Odin, you could always place your cage there and spam the Odin off the trips through the box because this box is wall bangable. I also like playing from heaven if I'm playing off this trip. I would also place one here. They have Fade Dog. Remember, Fade Dogs keep your trips low. And then if they have like skies or geckos, keep your trips higher. You could also place a trip here. Cage here. Once the enemy team smokes, you could just pop your cage, walk through, wait for the enemy to whip that. You could just fall back. Now as for attack, you can't really get as creative. Usually the default trip for every single round would be right here. And if your team ends up going B, you could always place another trip right here. Or right here. Your whole team ends up scaling site. And then when you're on attack, you could always place this trip right here, or if your team ends up planting there, you could always trip right there. So when they go and try and defuse, they would hit that trip. You can always try and run up here and trip this off, but that's a little more dangerous. Make sure this is smoked and somebody's watching heaven. And then if you're on site, you could always try and trip this off, or trip off the bomb wherever it's planted, and then run back and play main. Alright, that's my setup guide for Abyss. Let me know down in the comments which map you guys want to see next. Catch you guys later. See ya.